So let's call this meeting to order, and we have a copy of the minutes. I think they were emailed to each of us. Is there a motion to accept?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful, approved. Public comments, and you've already taken care of your question. Okay, we'll move on to the budget amendments. Number one, proposed budget amendment number 30 to recognize insurance. Okay,
Revenue and expense.
okay, I'm sorry.
We can skip it if you want to.
No,
but,
no.
September and October, September non-property tax revenue was slightly more than we expected. Local option sales taxes were about $48,000 more than the same period last year, and state sales taxes were about $15,000 higher than in the same period last year. Fiscal year 26 non-property tax revenue has averaged about 0.1% more than the same period in the previous year. And we've talked for several months about how we expected a certain amount of non-property tax revenue growth, and we're not seeing that. Well, we didn't expect as much this year, and that's bearing itself out. We've collected about $8,000 more in non-property tax revenue than we had at the same time last year. Property tax collections are a bit behind the same period last year, and that's the multicolored sheet right here. We've collected about $2.4 million less than at the same approximate time, but notices went out a couple of weeks later this year, and there's quite a bit of mail. I'll be honest, there's a pile of mail in the revenue office, and they're just plowing through it as fast as they can. There's about $35 million left in property tax left to collect for tax year 25. You've got a summary sheet. I think it was possibly mailed to you as well, but it's a year-to-date expense report through September, and it is running at about 22.6%, which we would expect it to be at 25% if everything were level. I will tell you, October's got some big expenses in it, so when you see this, that number may be a little higher than the just the running average in October, but we paid insurance and a couple of other things in October. And that's pretty much what I've got, and I'd love to answer any questions.
Questions, comments?
Hotel motel tax, how are we seeing that trend? And I'm sorry, I don't even know I've got latest news.
It's on your non-property tax sheet right there. It is.
Do we have those? Did you pass those out?
Yes, sir. It's this sheet right here, and if you
I have one.
I don't think I have it either.
Oh,
I have
sorry. There we go.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sorry. I know I gave you one, Frank, but it's okay. You can have another. Maybe you gave it back to me, or maybe I just picked it up thinking it was mine.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at it, comparing it to last year. It's dragging a little bit, and we noticed that slowdown even against the previous fiscal year a couple of months ago, and that falls into that non-property tax number that I was talking about. That and a couple of these other numbers are dragging a little bit, and we can make assumptions about why that is. I think there's probably still some uncertainty in folks. They're just not spending as much, not as much confidence in spending whatever disposable income they have. But that's just an assumption that I'm making.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Are Airbnbs paying in on this hotel motel tax?
The ones that they know about are supposed to be collecting something, but it's not.
Airbnb
Yeah.
collects and then distributes based on
Right.
where they're collected at.
So if they're not listed on Airbnb, but they're essentially an Airbnb like VRBO, we don't know.
VRBO, I think, collects too.
Yeah, if they're listed on, if they're going through the website, they have either
If you're
one of
just doing it
those.
word of mouth,
Yeah,
Then yeah,
you're,
okay.
yeah, you're under the radar there.
There's no way to
Yeah,
enforce
no.
that.
Other question?
Nathan, do we see any of our line items significantly over that we could anticipate some budget amendments coming in the next couple of months?
For expenses?
On expenses, on the expense side.
I mean, there are the ones that the known unknowns and the known knowns that we talked about. There are some of those. As far as we're probably going to move some money around. it will probably be budget neutral in places like Sportsplex. I was talking to Jason about that the other day. To be honest, some of these folks are realizing now that we are watching this a lot more closely on a line-by-line basis than they have in the past. And he says, we're going to need budget amendments. And I'm like, yeah, you are, you know. And I don't see any big expenses, except perhaps there are some expenses in Parks and Rec that may not have been captured properly when we did the budgeting process for some of the part-time labor. And I think you and I talked about that a little bit, but that may require a budget amendment, but we may be able to offset that with a reduction in expense somewhere else. And there may be some police overtime that runs over a little bit, but it may be offset by some, because of the way the staffing works there, it may balance itself out. But it's early.
Yeah, just
So-
first quarter.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Let's go to budget amendments. Number one, proposed budget amendment number 30 to recognize insurance recovery for the fire department of $13,856.16.
This is, I'm sorry, this is a repair. Timer 1, I think.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Or any discussion, rather? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion approved. Proposed budget amendment number 31 to recognize and appropriate $69,000 for state and local cybersecurity grant for $69,000.
This is a cybersecurity grant that we have gotten before. It was, for some reason, slightly delayed this year. A portion of this goes into just the IT expense, and part of it goes into the police department, but it's covering some, CrowdStrike. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, this covers the CrowdStrike security stuff, and I think one more thing.
What is CrowdStrike?
It is a,
An IT thing.
it's an IT.
It's an IT thing. It's a black box.
It is it's a piece of software that resides on desktop computers that is absolutely one of the best virus, and
It's like
Firewall.
It's a firewall.
Okay.
Software.
Okay.
No matter how much training you do, some of our employees still click on some of those.
Well, yeah, I can recall all the training we got. Yeah. Okay.
Any other comment?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Number 3, proposed budget amendment number 36 to reallocate funding for vehicle leasing program for $285,390.90.
I may ask Ron to come up here and speak with us a little bit about this as well. This is essentially a reallocation of funding from the FY26 capital to operating lines to fund a leasing program for vehicles, with the assumption that a couple of items that would generally be in this year's capital will be transferred to the upcoming debt issuance. And Ron,
That's correct. You may remember, council, or those who are on council, a couple of months ago, we presented during a work session about the idea of going to a vehicle leasing program, as our fleet is very out of date. If I recall, we had over 100 vehicles that were more than 20 years old in the city's fleet. And so what this amendment basically does is move 3 pots of money around in order to shift them towards a vehicle leasing program. So what this does is, there were some vehicles that were part of the planned bond package that are coming out. Those vehicles will now, and additionally more, are going to be utilized through a lease, the leasing plan that you see before you. In order to pay for that, there are some items that were in the capital that y'all approved. There are two, a side cutter for street maintenance, and the Civic Center security systems will be paid, that were in capital, or will plan to pay for with bond funds. And so what that does is free up over $300,000 from capital that are being moved into operating to various line items that Nathan and his team created for the various departments for leasing vehicles. And so what those funds do allow us to essentially move from purchasing roughly 7 vehicles through the capital bond to leasing roughly, I think it's 65 vehicles here. So it's basically a 3-part moving plan here.
Right, so make sure I'm tracking. So we had capital funds that were currently budgeted for the mower and the security system.
Correct.
We're taking $285,000 out of those line items, which we will then put back into the bond package.
Correct. They will put those items in the bond package, and what is coming out of the bond is there were roughly 7 vehicles that plan to be purchased with the bond. So that's how we essentially budget neutral, go from getting, essentially the way to think about it is 7 vehicles purchased to 65 leased with all the same funds.
For 1 year.
So it will be essentially for the remainder of this fiscal year, because we pay per monthly, and so the cost that you see is for those vehicles for the rest of the fiscal year.
So that is a 7-month, not 8-month period?
The payments start from when the vehicles are received, so we expect, I believe it's January.
So six
6
months
months.
of lease payments
Correct.
at 200 and, what is that, 90?
290, I believe? Yes, sir.
285, 390, okay.
Mhm.
So then we're thinking about, this isn't just for this year, now we're looking at future obligations too.
Correct.
Right? So
Mhm.
now we're looking at,
We're good at roughly 570 for
570.
FY '27 for
Right.
the same lease. Are they 3-year leases?
The plan is roughly 5 to 6 years. These vehicles would be sold, and we capture that leasing equity.
Okay. Is that, what portion of the fleet do we intend to maybe shift towards this program? And do we have an idea of the total cost of lease if we move in that direction?
Yes, so what the plan for these vehicles are, I believe, was that included in with their budget packet, Nathan?
Yes. You
Yes,
see that
so
right
if
there.
you have the documents that look like this,
Yours may
don't-
be in color.
yours, yeah, I put it in black and white, but it should be, yes, right there.
Yeah,
Those are what is planned to be leased with these funds.
right.
So you can see all the different, and what this also gives us the opportunity to do is to streamline the number of different types of vehicles we have. The city currently has at least 20, it may have been closer to 30 different types of vehicles. We're gonna be moving to roughly 6 or so. And so Austin, Public Works, and Philip in the garage are kind of working with the departments. What are your actual needs? Do you truly need a 250 versus a 150 versus a Maverick or something smaller? We expect that will hopefully also reduce the amount of parts that we need, because we have fewer models that the garage is having to store parts for and things like that.
How does this work with, or any specialized vehicle, like animal care vehicles, are they in this that require modification that?
They have the ability to do modifications to the vehicle. So, for example, they can even do our police interceptors with
Okay.
the plastic seats in the back, and they can outfit everything basically under 1 ton.
Okay,
Not in this, if you guys would have this specific one, it's not. in this
Yes.
project
right, but they have the ability to do specialized
Correct.
vehicles as we
As we progress
As we progress, basically everything under 1 ton they can modify to our needs.
Does this require a bid for this or no?
No, because they are part of the Sourcewell program, they do not
Okay.
require a bid. I will tell you that Austin and I tried reaching out to other different companies that do vehicle leasing, several of which said that we are not worth their time because we're so small. So we, I think, tried contact, believe it or not.
They're really nice about it.
Yeah,
Thanks, but no thanks.
yeah, exactly. So this was the, one of the companies that obviously reached out to us, and yeah. But we tried to find alternatives just to do some due diligence.
So 285 this year, 570 next year. Is there,
Over the next 4 years, yeah.
the next 4
Each
years,
year.
is there an assumption that there's an additional? I guess where my head's going on this, and this, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, is thinking about the next fiscal year and what obligations we make during this year that are obligating us towards the future fiscal years. And knowing where we finished, or where we budgeted this year, which was operationally kind of neutral, like a neutral budget. We went into the fund balance on capital items, but we were revenue covered expenses within the general fund and within operating. So now when we add 570 onto that, what does that do? That's my question. And are we going to be able to find that somewhere else? Or I don't think we can dip into general fund anymore. So where does that come from? What are the thoughts?
Yeah, great question. Obviously, as we move more toward this program, the capital needs will decrease, right? So as our recorder often states, money is fungible, right? So our capital needs will decrease, which will free up funds to continue to pay for this. Additionally, for the first couple of years, a lot of our costs will be covered by selling our vehicles that we currently own. We are actually planning on downsizing our fleet as well. You might not have been here when we first brought them in, but I'll share with you their kind of model analysis. But we have multiple millions that we can, Nathan might actually have a copy of it right
I don't know if
there.
it's the most recent one. but
Yeah,
it's-
and we can share this with the committee, but essentially for the first couple of years, a lot of our costs are covered because as they sell on our behalf, all of our existing fleet, that will fund a lot of our operations in this program for the first couple of years.
When we talked about that one day over coffee, I think both of y'all,
Right.
was it budget neutral?
It fluctuates year to year. So some years we actually save money. Some years we have where we do have to outlay more. But over, I think, 10 years, it does save us on the whole several $100,000.
I don't think that's the most recent one, but it demonstrates the concept.
Yeah.
Because the last iteration that we had of that was, I think,
1.3 million, I
a couple
believe.
of hundred vehicles was the year one. But
Right.
we're not, obviously not doing that, so.
I was thinking that the number of $33,000
If you look on the far right,
A
it shows them that
year.
cash per year under the model.
was the difference? Does that ring a bell?
It does, but like I said, it fluctuates because however many of the vehicles we plan to sell each year, right? So we have vehicles that we have recently purchased in past years that we wouldn't sell yet. So the year to year will fluctuate for the first couple, but over the 10-year model that they created, it will save the city money.
Do you have any kind of estimate on if we're gonna lease newer vehicles, get rid of your point, some of the 20-year-old vehicles? Obviously, that I would anticipate some maintenance savings as well there.
Correct.
Do we have an estimate on that? It's on
And,
Yeah.
and fuel.
And fuel as well as we go to more fuel-efficient vehicles. Also, for example, like I mentioned, downsizing, for a lack of better terms, some of the truck sizes that maybe some of our departments are using. You know, if you're an employee that uses a car that doesn't have any mechanical, hard labor kind of needs, I'll throw an example, park admin, just to pick one. They don't need a truck. They can use, for example, a hybrid vehicle that we have the opportunity to get as well. So that will also lead to fuel savings.
So to get back to that question, we could assume that we get additional revenue from the sale of these vehicles that cover some of this expense as well as savings on fuel and maintenance.
Correct.
And so I guess as we move next year into budgeting for the future fiscal year, we can monitor those things over the next 6 to 8 months to see how those are impacted from the leasing of these vehicles and adjust accordingly. So we'd assume those would come down.
Right.
Some of those interdepartmental line items or
Um, I-
garage
I-
expenses.
Yeah, I'll have Nathan send this to the committee, but I pulled up the most recent analysis that we have. If you consider the vehicles we buy, the maintenance that we have to pay for, as well as the fuel, we spend on average $4.1 million per year. With the amount of vehicles that we plan to sell this next fiscal year, our costs will decrease, they estimate by, if we follow their model, $900,000 next year alone. And the 10-year total savings impact is just shy of 1.4.
How many years?
10 years.
Okay.
Doesn't sound like a lot, but it also sounds like a lot.
It's front-loaded.
Right,
Correct.
right.
But there will be, so for example, like if I just kind of go through next year, 900,000, there'll be a year where it's 200,000 more, and then there's a year in about year 5 where it saves us 2.4. So like I said, it's not a consistent, but over the long term,
We get to consistent planning.
yeah. And then, Paul, as you speak to budgeting, the idea, the beauty of this is in the long run, we'll also have a much more consistent number on what to budget around, because we will kind of have a baked-in fleet budget, I
Well,
would
one,
say.
I think it's important, we've, not so recently, but in the past, the city's gotten in the habit of long-term financing for short-term assets.
Mm-hmm.
And so versus lumping this in on a 30-year note with an asset that may last 5 to 7 years, it seems more appropriate to either do short-term financing, like a capital outlay note, we've done that in the past on some things, or a lease program, which we've explored for years. It seems like a more appropriate than having my kids, when they're paying property taxes, still paying for a car that hasn't been on the road for 20,
Sure.
20 years.
Yeah.
Or the way we drive vehicles, it might be.
Yeah.
Well, that's right.
I mean, we've got 100 or more that are 20 years old.
Yes, it was, we
We're
have,
trying to max out, make sure. that-
right, we have
That's
99
right.
vehicles that are at
That's
least,
right.
and over half of our fleet is at least 10 years old.
So if we go on Gov Deals, don't buy anything from the city of Jackson, is what you're trying to say.
Though, we need to adjust those numbers.
We've got great vehicles, Mayor, they're great.
Yeah, we do have,
So-
we don't get rid of great vehicles, though.
So the idea with this was to remain budget neutral. It's just moving the pots around, essentially, is how we are accomplishing this.
Other comments? Is there a motion?
You ask for a motion?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I can make one.
I'd move to approve contingent upon, I think what you should walk through the savings with the council. I think that's a key component that I don't have directly in front of me. I get it, on the need. I think it's probably, a better vehicle to get there than a long-term bond, which this was going towards. So I'll make my motion on that.
I'll second that.
Okay.
And I know
Motion.
It's good information to
As
provide.
we were headed down, I think, Angela was talking to Marquise about getting all those documents to council, and they weren't in the packet, so they're getting those documents, so we'll
Yeah,
walk through that.
and I just forwarded you, Nathan, the most, I bumped it, I guess, the most recent
Okay,
of the models that you could share with the rest of the committee that I kind of
Okay.
walked through here verbally.
More discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Budget calendar.
You should have a copy of that. We discussed this at our last meeting. It's one of the things that we've had previously, on this budget committee. Really, it's getting started today, last month. If you want to review through that, where we're trying to head, and this kind of piggybacks on a future item on your agenda, is the budget rubric, the implementation of that, and starting here in the next couple of weeks, sitting down with department heads and walking them through a dry run on this budget rubric to get their heads around it, answer any questions, kind of try to iron out any wrinkles in that, and let them dry run on this on their current year's budget to prepare them and work out any kinks that we may have to implement this for next year's budget. The idea is, with this rubric, is really to develop a common framework that'll help us understand where priorities lay. I think as we, I saw over the weekend, Councilman McMean shared about some other funding needs that are coming down the pipeline that are shared expenses, but I think we're all aware, I started a running spreadsheet today. There's over $400 million worth of potential projects, to say, to kind of give a general descriptor of that. Now, all that is not city required funding. It's about half of that, if by my best estimate, that we could be responsible for, and that could range from anything from stormwater infrastructure that we're getting information back on that, to the funding of a public safety complex, to a Great Wolf Lodge Road. There's a lot of things. We got the Madison lease. I can go on and on about it, but really to help us start to prioritize capital, but also prioritize our operational expenses. I'm just trying to give us, this is a month by month. This isn't hard dates. I think this is something we maybe should visit every month and just say, hey, where are we? Do we need to put something hard on the calendar for us to meet on, or for the council to meet on, so that they've got that information? I was just hoping that we could nail down kind of a general calendar to keep us on task as we move through and work towards getting a budget passed by June 30 of this year.
I appreciate you working on this. This is really interesting. In the past, we've had a calendar, but we've never lined up with a calendar. Was that because of Tyler Munis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think from my experience in the past, it's been, we put dates out there that are targets. Do we always hit them? No, but at least we have a target to say, hey, in and around this point in March, we need to be having reviews of this type of information.
Yeah.
It gives us an opportunity to schedule something, to make sure that council's present, that we have a quorum here to look through that kind of stuff. But it just kind of gives us a framework to work through as we move towards the budgeting for next year.
What would this year, because we've almost finished with Tyler Munis, what might be a hindrance to staying on a calendar?
Well, first of all, developing this, actually fleshing this out and seeing how well it works. And Paul and I've talked about this some at length. I mean, I suspect that you guys will have a couple of extra meetings in here. I don't think you can get by without it. And then getting our staff on board, getting our team, so that they can figure out how to use the rubric, and also what is expected of them at these different waypoints along the way. And then, as with everything, things get in the way. The unknown things, they're going to crop up in there. But it's a perfectly reasonable framework, I think.
That was what I was gonna ask. I mean, internally, from your perspective, is this workable?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
I think we'll figure out some in the next 45 days. If we stick to this fairly well, we'll figure out what the pain points are to some extent.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that that the process might change just a little.
Sure.
We're going to do it this way instead.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's a living document
Yeah.
that will be modified as we go through it,
Yeah.
but it gives us some waypoints.
Gives us a target.
In terms of pain points in the past, it's been getting everything submitted. When department heads are asked to submit capital or operational budgets, it's just the collection and,
Yeah,
the
submittal
kind of
collection,
filtering through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get it in a spreadsheet and
Getting
send
it
it
all
out, so it's
put in
totally
the-
different now.
Sure.
packaged
That'll
up
be
for
completely
everybody.
different now that we're.
Yeah,
Right.
where
think
all
it-
that was manual and done in Excel,
Yeah,
you know, now it's, Tyler Munis can help us with
sure,
that.
sure.
In theory, should be able to.
Yeah, well, and it may be one of those things that in the next couple of weeks, we say, listen, okay, heads up. These conversations are going to be beginning fairly soon.
Mhm.
So you're going to get a deadline. Be prepared, you know,
Sure.
just, now, some of these folks are already doing that. I can tell you that the fire department essentially knows what their budget, what they're gonna put in there next year. They know already.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, police is somewhat the same.
Mhm.
But some of these, some of our other departments, you ask them and tell them they got 3 weeks, and they're calling you 2 days before the deadline, trying to figure out how to,
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
and so a little encouragement there will probably go a long way too.
Sure.
and I think going through this thought exercise of the rubric before it's the actual implementation
Yeah.
of it, is gonna be beneficial to get them thinking about
So
their
that was,
budgets.
yeah, so that was one of my questions is, I mean, would it be beneficial to bring the department heads in and kind of work through some examples,
Mhm.
right, of through the rubric? Before they're actually using it
Yeah,
and putting it
that's
into
why the
spreadsheets.
dry
the whole
run
point.
for
Kind of
this
a dry
current
run,
year,
yes.
this current year's budget before they're planning next year's
Yes.
budget.
Yeah,
So we can
get
kind of
them-
walk through, fine tune it.
It'll also get them out of the practice of copy and pasting from
Sure.
previous year.
Sure.
Get them thinking.
mhm.
So, I mean, there may be some thought there as to, you know, from your perspective of what's that meeting, what's that timeframe of that meeting look like? How much time's gonna be involved in that? You know, is that an afternoon? Is that a couple, morning and afternoon? Because, I mean, getting all the department heads in to kind of work through the exercise. You know, we may need to go ahead and, probably sooner rather than later, put some hard dates on the calendar for those
Agreed,
things as
agreed.
well.
Yeah.
You know, to kind of work through that.
I think I'd sent Nathan a couple of examples on how this could be applied to
Yeah.
operational and capital expenses.
Mhm.
But I think sitting down and maybe getting a couple of other nuanced examples of how this would work.
Yeah.
And walking through that with maybe smaller groups
Mhm.
of department
I think that'd be
heads, so they can
beneficial to
ask
them,
questions
yes.
where it's not everybody in the room.
Yeah.
And doing some workshops, and I'm
Mhm.
happy to give some time to that, to
Sure.
walk them through it, but, then there's putting this, I think ideally, this would be implemented into Tyler Munis.
Mhm.
So it's, as they fill out the budget for, groundskeeping,
Mhm.
they have the opportunity to fill out the rubric, and that point score kind of comes along with the budget
Sure.
request.
Sure.
And it's all part of that. Right now, it's in an Excel file. Just my kind of research, I think we can apply it to Tyler Munis, but that may be a lift, it may be a future endeavor
Mhm.
that we take on.
Sure. Sure.
But I
mean,
think
see,
right now, if
for
we don't
them,
start, it's gonna be,
Yeah, for them, it's not a big lift, if it's, even if it's an Excel file, they can go split screen, and look at
Yeah.
it. I mean,
Yeah, sure. Okay.
what I was hoping, Frank, was to kind of accept this as a working
Mm-hmm.
document.
Is there a motion there?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second, yeah.
All right, motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And Paul, thank you for
Mhm.
all your work you did there. Next, discuss and adopt a budget priority matrix rubric and discuss implementation.
So we've kind of already touched on this a little bit.
Mhm.
You've all got it, and I shared with Nathan, just in the spirit of transparency and the sunshine laws and all that. As I'm working through this, the way that I see this going is I'm gonna distribute things to Nathan. Nathan distributes them to you guys. That, if you got comments, they can come back to Nathan. We can have a conversation on the side about that, or we can have a conversation in these meetings, which I'd prefer.
Sure.
I know those can get lengthy because we're at 10:35 now, but, and Nathan knows, I spent 2 hours on a 1-hour meeting with him earlier last week. I heard his sigh when I left the room, by the way. This rubric, if you've got questions about it, I think it's something we can continue to develop. But I'd hope that at our next meeting, which will be at the end of, my goodness, November.
November, yeah.
Actually, if we could do kind of intermediary meeting, that may be beneficial.
I think so.
Sometime in earlier November, as we get into the holidays, and their people's schedules get a little conflicted.
That's the 24th when we're supposed to meet, isn't it?
I think so.
I'll be gone. Well, I will be on my way back here.
So if we
Be
could do
traveling.
something that first or second week of November to kind of nail down this rubric, run through some examples with the committee, make sure we all understand it before we push
That was
it
gonna be
out.
my question, you wanna do that with the committee first before we push it out to?
Yeah, I would think so.
What did
Can we go ahead and pick a date on that and let me go ahead and get it in?
Let's do that.
Jack's, by the way, while you're looking at calendars, one comment Jack made is he said, it looks good. He was concerned about what requests would go into this process. In other words, what would we use for normal operating budget request? And you and Ron talked about that the other day.
Yeah.
Could you spend 35 or seconds or a minute
Yeah.
and explain how that would work?
I think this happens initially
Yeah.
at the request level, the total, what we're seeing right here,
Summary level.
the
yeah.
summary level, thank you.
Okay.
I think that initially happens there. Now, it may be that we find that, hey, we're not getting a lot of really good information about this. It's really, when we do it at that level, it's kind of a departmental prioritization.
Yeah, sure,
Now, each capital request, I think, can stand on its own
sure.
as, hey, I want you to judge this capital
Yeah, because that was my
request.
concern.
It makes a
So,
lot
yeah,
of sense there.
In my mind, all the capital requests would go through there, and then do we then say, okay, operationally over a certain amount? Or something,
Or
right?
is, the way that I put it to Ron was, on this first go-round, it's what do you currently have budget? Just, we're gonna run your department, or, and some there's sub-departments, right?
Sure, yeah.
So those departments are sub-department level. If they ask for increases or new programming or new things, new funding,
Yeah.
then it goes through that.
Goes through there.
As well.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's like, hey, we're expanding services from this department and we need another $200,000. Well, let's run it through the rubric and
Sure.
see how that pans
Okay.
out.
Yeah.
And help us make a good, have some informed decision-making.
Sure,
So yes, it's at a higher level. Now, it
Mm-hmm.
may be that we feel like we need to go, but I don't think it's a line item by line item thing.
Sure.
It-
Yeah,
that would be
I-
too
that-
exhausting.
yeah, I wouldn't-
Programmatic.
Yeah, it would overwhelm all of us.
yes,
Oh, God,
yeah.
The way that I'd see this working is that they submit it, it comes back to this group. We and Nathan's office would be kind of a normalization of this. Everybody feels like they're probably gonna score higher. I mean, that's how people score.
Sure, yeah.
So we come back and we kind of normalize it. We set some criteria
Mm-hmm.
that say, hey, you know, like one category, are we legally obligated to do this?
Yeah.
Federally, state, or local ordinances obligate us to provide the service.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get 3 points. Well, maybe if somebody says, well, we're legally, they score themselves as a 3, but they're really not, then
Yeah.
we adjust that.
Sure.
And that gets, track changes across it, so they understand. That's why I think doing it at that level where you've got, you know, a couple pages of lines rather than
Yeah.
like hundreds and
Yes,
or thousands
that's
of lines.
kind of how I envision it working,
Yeah,
so I just want to
yeah.
kind of get that on the table.
Now, Ron had
Want
one
this to be
comment.
so cumbersome that we never would get through it.
Ron had a comment on the language used for the tier levels, and I think it's a good comment to not confuse, and just to make sure I'm getting him right. I think instead of going tier 1, 2, 3, we do A, B, C, and that gives us like a tier A, you get 3 points, tier B, it was inverted. So tier
Yeah.
1, you get 3, and I can see where the confusion happened
Sure,
there.
yeah,
So I think we go
That'll
tier A,
check.
B, C.
yeah,
And
makes
that-
sense, yeah.
That'll challenge my Barton's dyslexia if we keep it that way.
There you go.
Let's
There,
go ABC.
yes, we'll go
I'll be
ahead.
like, oh, God.
I thought high, medium, low. I don't think that really captures it. ABC would probably be better.
Okay.
Dates?
Yeah.
Yes.
When were you looking, sir?
I will be gone, I will be completely out of Tennessee the 19th through the 24th, but other than that, I'll make whatever work.
So we're looking for the 10th, the week of the 10th? Is that,
That would work just fine for me.
Work for me.
Is that good for you?
Well, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah,
ooh, one of those midweek holidays.
the 10th at the kids' school, they've got a big Veterans Day program, and I'd like to be able to go to it, but if I can, I can't.
So 12, 13,
What about that Wednesday, the 12th?
I've got to be in Nashville on the 12th, I can't be here, but if I'm the only one, I mean, I
If
can
I've gotta
catch up,
skip the
but.
program, I'll skip the program.
The 13th.
13th, what about 13th? I got a doctor's
Still in Nashville,
appointment,
Jack?
but I can-
No, I can do the 13th.
I cannot do the 13th.
What about that Friday, the
Works
14th?
for me.
Wide open.
14th at 10?
I can do, yeah, in 10 or after, I'm good on the 14th.
oh, send me in blue jeans.
All right, hey,
Oh my God.
I'll have a t-shirt on.
Isn't there a song called like Blue Jean Baby or something, country song?
10 o'clock?
I may wear my
Yes.
chacos.
I'm gonna play it while he walks in that day.
Do we anticipate that being a little longer meeting than an hour? Should we schedule 2 just to be safe?
So we're gonna kind of go in with the rubric and all that.
We'll go into some detail. Let's schedule 2. I don't
Okay.
think it'll take 2,
Yeah.
but I think that's,
You can
It
name
could.
yourself.
You, why you over there going, "Ooh," like that?
So if it
Dang,
were scheduled for 2 and we got a little time off, it'd be like free time. Do you see? I mean, it's,
that's right. Are we going 10 to noon?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Now, I have a luncheon that day.
Okay,
well, it's not gonna take till noon, Paul just
Yeah.
told us. It'll be fine.
that's right. Well, we can,
Don't reschedule anything. All right. Are we all doing our own calendar? Everybody's doing an invite?
I'm-
All right, got it. I got it.
okay.
I just want to make sure.
10 to noon on the 14th of November.
That'll work.
And I guess we can get that sent out to the other
Yeah,
committee
we'll get
members
it.
who aren't present.
Okay.
And without having approved that, we've just put it on our calendars, which means we've approved it.
There you go. We're locked in.
But is there a
Motion.
I
motion?
mean, it's not really a budget meeting, right? It's more of a, kind of a work session.
Yeah, that's right, it's a workshop.
So is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any other discussion?
Not on that.
All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Any opposed? Wonderful. And again, Paul, thank you.
And I'll send out a
Do you
notice
have
on that.
anything to do after this, like immediately after?
Maybe I
this?
got stuff to do all the time, but I'll be glad to talk to you.
My head's just swarming with questions on this lease stuff that I just wanna ask.
Okay.
And get some understanding, but I know it's gonna be more than just, it may be something that you have to tell me, like you may have to look up and tell
Right.
me later.
I'll pull Ron in too, because he and Austin have been working on this.
Okay. Audit findings, impact to the current budget and future budget planning.
I'll keep talking. For those of you, well, Dave has seen this, and I know the mayor's seen it as well. I've been tracking these financial health indicators since 2018, 2019. This is, and I can give, for those of you that haven't seen it, I brought a couple, I can have Nathan print off, here you go. These are adopted by the state of Ohio. They're not Tennessee specific, but I think it's a good indicator for the financial health of the city. And the state of Ohio makes every city and municipality participate in these indicators. So we've been tracking these for a long time, and what I think these do is kind of give us some goalposts to kind of shoot for. They help identify areas of potential financial hardship or stress. For those of you who had an opportunity to look through the audit, some of these will make sense to you. We've kind of slid on some of these over the fiscal year, and it's important, I think, to note that this audit is a snapshot of what was going on, 18 months ago? It's not where we are today. I think there's some things that have been put into place and corrected and adjusted that will bring some of these from potentially a yellow back to a green. But nonetheless, this is the grade of that snapshot. You can go down, I'm not gonna go through every one of them, just to be aware of y'all's time. One of the things that we talk about a lot is our fund balance. We've been kind of watching that for the last couple of years. I think that probably in this current fiscal year has slid into a critical position. If you were to put the outlook for FY '25, we're there. Another one is our asset life has been one that we've really worked on for a long time, and we need to continue to work on. What does that mean? You know, that's investing in long-term assets. And the way that they do that is just asset versus depreciation. And then our budgetary non-compliance, that's something that we talked about last week, is really working, putting that as a goal, challenging our audit committee and our internal auditor's office to really work towards helping us navigate that. And let's set a goal for, in the next 2 to 3 years, to have a clean audit. I think that's something the city should really work towards. If you got any questions on this, maybe we can touch base on it at a future meeting, but I just thought I'd share that with you. I try to do this only on our audited numbers, not our unaudited stuff. That way it's apples to apples every year.
Yeah.
But take a look at these. If you got questions, I'm happy to answer them now or in the future.
I guess, Nathan, I have one question from the budgetary compliance side of it is Tyler Munis, I guess, has some controls built in that will flag these budget requests? And
It
things
has
like that if
become
they're out of
highly
compliance?
irritating to some of our departments.
Okay, all right, good, okay.
Um,
I figured it did, but
I
I
mean,
just wanted to
it is,
verify that.
and there are a couple of things that we have, entirely candid, there have been some things that we pushed through because we were contractually obligated to do some things. And those, some of those things we're gonna be addressing here as we get to a different point. But one of the reasons that I said, for example, Mr. Compton said that he was gonna need some budget amendments is because he's got plenty of money in that org. They're just not all in the right place, and when he gets ready to issue a purchase order, it won't let him.
Sure,
I mean, it just flat out won't let him.
yeah,
And,
okay,
and that's, I mean, it's a great control.
Good.
I've been pleased with it, and I think that will help some. I think it will help a lot. I think that simple thing will get us to 70% of compliance with the appropriation. I mean, the other 30 is gonna be, responding when things happen.
Sure.
That's gonna be the other 30, and then some education
sure,
on our part for other people here, so. But it's worked, yeah, it's great.
okay, good,
Yeah.
good.
Again, Paul, thank you.
One thing, just to note, I think it's important for us to think about what things do we need to budget for to help adjust this, and kind of bring these more into the green for next year. One thing that I'd ask of Nathan's predecessor is just the accounting staff, having the staff available to be able, with the level of competency to be able to get through this. So one is numbers and competency levels.
Sure.
To be able to help navigate through this.
Yeah.
I know we've got great people over there working, and they work hard every day, but to have some support there, and I don't know if that's personnel support, I don't know if that's external, some other group coming in and helping, maybe correct some of this in the interim until we have the staffing that we need.
Sure.
But I think that's something to really have a consideration on as we move to the next budget year, is how can we best position and use the funds that we have available to make sure we're being good stewards of the taxpayer dollar.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Nathan, you want to add?
To that, I mean, as far as his last comment, I think short term, there are some things that we can do with some outside folks that will help us rapidly at least come up with a game plan to attack some of the lingering things that we saw in the audit. And then longer term, there are budget constraints everywhere. Longer term, I've got a bunch of accounting associates who don't understand the big picture. At some point, I'd like to add some people that understand the big picture, because right now there's me and two more.
Yeah.
And if there were, and we're not talking about doubling the size, I'm talking about adding a person or two at some point. And,
Sure.
and we talked about that in last year's budget committee, we talked about that in audit committee, but it's probably, everybody's priorities are, everybody thinks that their thing is a priority.
Sure.
And so,
Sure.
We'll run it through the rubric.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think that's what I think when you do that, all kind of joking aside, I think when you run these things through a common filter, you're going to see, hey, this is very important,
Sure, absolutely.
and this is something that if put up against another thing that may not have as much impact, it may rise above that, and that needs to be something that we highly consider funding.
Yeah. Well, the accountant in the room could say this. I mean, you're a non-revenue producing office, so the accounting department's going to be lower on the totem pole as far as funding. That's just the nature of the beast.
I-
But yeah, very important, yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, from years being here and things of that nature, yes. I mean, you could use at least one more that's got, you know, kind of hands on the big picture.
Right.
You know, kind of that, hey, if Nathan goes and gets hit by a bus tomorrow, what's the backup plan?
Right.
That would be a mess.
Literally and figuratively, yes. But yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, we have tremendous people. But some of the folks that are doing data entry and assimilation and accumulation, they don't know.
They know their piece.
They know their piece.
They know their piece.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Good thought.
Any other comments there? Debt package.
This is another request of mine to have some discussion on. So we just recommended to the council some adjustment to that. I think it's important, and I know that there is a desire to get this done rapidly for a multitude of reasons. I think there are a couple of items that we need to really think long and hard about and have some discussion about how their asset life plays into the borrowing of these dollars. There's a couple of notable, and back to my, and I may nod at him now. He's not. Let me see.
There you go, he changed it over.
Yeah, because I didn't.
while he's punching in, we're meeting with PFM and Bestbury and Sims on Wednesday, just
Okay.
to sort of bring that conversation up to date.
All right. This is the latest that I have received of our project list.
That's pretty close to the
Okay.
latest
Now, this is not adjusted for the recommendation
today.
today, right? So this is the latest adjustment, the 26 million. There are a couple of notable items that are kind of contingent upon other things happening. One is the Jackson Plaza demolition, and the other is the public safety complex. I think both of these are needs, but again, where do they lay in?
Public
What's
safety,
that?
public safety complex is going away. I'm
Okay.
gonna recommend the council to move that because the bid for the turf came in higher because it's obviously been a while. And so moving that money to the turf for the sportsplex.
Okay, so the discussion, so if that goes away, but the number stays the same?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're adding, the good thing about that is, the one positive is that that's got some life to it, right? What do we estimate the turf life to be?
I don't want to speak for Jason and his team.
It's like 10,
I think the warranties.
That's what they had mentioned previously.
Warranties are
Yeah, I was thinking.
eight,
Right.
8 to
So
10?
a large chunk of that, though, is going for dirt work that
Yeah.
is going to be permanent, for lack of a better
Yeah,
term.
all the prep for it, the irrigation underneath the turf, the dirt work,
All the drainage?
all the
and
drainage
Right,
that
right.
goes with it, that's the majority of it. The turf itself is not, he said we probably saw it up maybe for less than half of what it costs to put in.
Yeah.
So,
I'm gonna zoom in here. Okay, this is what I was talking about earlier. That's my best estimate, $470 million of projects. There you go. Now, all these are not 100% city funding, right? There's opportunities for some joint funding on the public safety complex. We've talked about that. Like stormwater, we could get grants. Let's see, library. The library's been a social media topic of late.
not on any city council agenda.
It ain't on an agenda, but it's in the public sphere, and I know how fast that something in the public sphere can become something that is on an agenda. All in all, when we start looking through this, they're significant, and even if we took out a couple of these, it's still a very significant amount that we really need some understanding of what is an economic driver, what are we obligated? Like, there's no getting out of the Madison balloon note. We got to figure that out. That's coming down the pipe. We can continue to lease it, We can roll it into a bond in the future. We, at one point, there was the idea that we were gonna save up and pay some cash. I think that ship has sailed. But we really need to look at some of these things that we know we cannot avoid, and some of these that lead to greater economic impact in our community.
Well, along our same discussion, I mean, these need to be prioritized through a rubric of some sort.
That's right,
Right,
yes.
and we need to kind of figure out, what's priority A, B, C, from that standpoint, as much as either.
And not to relitigate all of the funds in this bond issuance package, but I think it's important for us to understand the total debt capacity of the city.
Yeah.
Based off of what current revenues are.
Yes.
We have a debt policy. I think that debt policy is set at 23%. Now that can be adjusted through, through the council. But I think we're kind of at the northern end of where we want to be. You go
Yep.
25, I mean, you're kind of pushing it there.
Yes.
So it's kind of understanding that capacity. At current rates, my math is telling me about 30 million is that capacity. So it's important to understand that, we're at 18% now, 19% of debt service to revenues.
Yeah.
So if we've got a little bit of capacity built in, but we're gonna be looking at maxing that out.
Yeah.
We need to understand that and have that as we move forward, because some of these things that are not in this package could come down the pipe quicker. These two notably at the top. That would be Great Wolf and the Madison.
Yeah.
Stormwater maintenance, we've been down that road for a long time. I don't know that we've got a number back from them yet. That's just a plug. That's my best estimate. Yeah, I think I'm trying to be a little optimistic on that. But seeing this move up, this is going to 6, and are we saying that the public safety complex is off the board for now?
Yeah.
Okay. So that changed some things, right? But still, this is quite a large number. And some planning, Muse, there's been talks of that. I don't know. We're just at the point now where we really just need to get down to what are the absolute necessary
That
things.
was, it's a 50% range.
We've had those state grants, the TRPA grants. I think that's it. LPRF.
LPRF.
LPR, yeah. But they're not gonna, those will be chunks of, 4 or 5 million times. That won't do us, I'd say it's probably.
So really, we're looking, we pull that off, we can get it down, but we're still we're in the north of $100 million.
Yeah.
And I may not even have everything captured here. These are just the big things that kind of top of mind. With that said, on this debt package, some of these things are needs. I think they're all needs in some way or another. Some of these things we have to have. When I see ballistic vests, we have to have that. That is a absolute safety.
Yeah.
The homeless shelter, I guess those dollars have been,
Those are reallocated
Those-
into street resurface.
okay. And so there's some updating to be done with
Yeah.
that. The question I'd have is, do y'all see a revisiting of this at this level or at the council level, or are we gonna represent, because there's obviously some
We're
things
gonna
moving.
change, I was waiting on where we were in his process before I changed the proposal of the items and then relook at that.
Okay. I think it's just, the point I was hoping to make today is, we are approaching the capacity at present. Now, that doesn't mean that capacity can't change through revenue, and we've talked a lot about revenue opportunities. And those are existing. This isn't new. This is just capitalizing on the revenue streams that we already have and making sure that we're collecting those appropriately. But that's not gonna move the needle a lot. That's, you know, million at most.
It's not small, but it's not,
It's 1%.
Right, it's not small, but it's small.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch base. I know we're moving, I anticipate that this thing will start moving more rapidly. I just wanted to make the point that we need to be very cognizant of our debt capacity as we move forward.
What are we
Because-
contractually obligated to do on that road for Great Wolf Lodge? Because you know, when that was the very first time it was talked, it was kind of, there was so many different stories of what we were and what we weren't, and that we were bound to this and we were bound to that. You were actually on council when that went down. What are we actually?
I can't speak directly to it. I know that there was in good faith, a commitment to build a road. What type of road that is, I don't know. I'll be honest, I think the best thing to do is price out a 2-lane road, unmediated, and say, here's what our contribution is. If you guys want to go 4-lane with a median, that's great, but you're gonna have to come up with those additional funds. I don't know I've heard when it started at like 3, and it was 4, and it was 6.5, and it's 7.5. It keeps moving, and materials have
Looks
gone
like
up.
Last we heard was 6, or I remember it being 6 and now it's 7.5.
Well, that's my number. That's the last I've heard.
Okay.
Now, I don't know, but these are just chirping. I don't know that, I haven't seen a price or estimated. I haven't seen anything hard yet. Yeah. So it could be 6. It could be 4. But it is if you go in there and the path that road takes is over a number of ditches. Yeah. Yeah. And
Does
so
anybody
it's,
know if there's any more holdups on their end for financing to get the ball more so rolling?
I don't know that. I'd love to know that, but I don't know it.
Is there anybody that
They
have
have,
that open?
they have to the end of the first quarter of next year, I think.
Through the last,
But I think, don't hold me to it, don't go post it on social media.
Mike?
I think to the end of the first quarter of next year to go vertical.
When would that, with the good faith agreement, when did we suggest that we would have that road?
I don't know
Would
that it
be
was ever,
before?
The only document I found was was in either late 2018 was the kind of the preliminary discussion. That document was that community funded, or it was very ambiguous, funded road, entrance road, and it didn't say at time. Obviously, they would need a road if they opened, right? But I think there's opportunities, or I think there's, you know, if it's not by the time they open, it's not ideal, but the road that comes off of Ridgecrest it's a service road now. It's not in good shape. It wouldn't handle a bunch of traffic. But I think
Concrete's busted all
yeah,
over
just
there.
whenever they open, which would be 18 to 24 months after they started going vertical. So
yeah, so you run that timeline out, that's 2029
Mhm.
before they're occupying and operational.
Just trying to think of some money.
Yeah. So they can use that other road as construction entrance.
yeah.
You know, but this is we're not gonna snap our fingers and it's built.
Right, I
and
just
that's-
wanted to make sure
yeah.
that there wasn't anything that could come back later and say, well, we're not gonna start until this road. Okay, cool.
But the Jackson Plaza too, like, thinking, tearing down the building at 2 million, we really don't get any asset value out of that unless a project comes of it.
Yeah.
So those are things to really consider. As much as that is an eyesore, I mean, I agree with that. We really need to think through
Yeah.
taking on that and paying.
Yeah, cause it's, I mean.
I'd love to see us pay cash if we had it
I was
towards
gonna say
something like that.
That's where, again, trying to increase our general fund reserves and things
That's
of
right.
that nature for those kinds of things, so that if a deal comes along and we need to write a check for $2 million to demolish the building tomorrow.
Yeah,
we can do
we
it.
got it. That's right. It gives us flexibility towards
Yes,
that.
Absolutely. But to your point, there's really no point in doing it if
There's nothing.
we don't have an
coming,
imminent
yeah.
deal.
Yeah,
you
no.
know,
Yeah,
nothing
deals
coming in.
coming, be great,
Yeah.
yeah. Or it may be that you get a developer that comes along and says, hey, I'll take it as is because I feel like I can do it less
Sure.
than 2 million.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, but I think that knowing the city's
Know any
processes.
developers that can do that?
No, I don't, I could reach out to people. But what I do know is that from sitting on the city side of things, if we're saying it's 2 million, it's coming in at 3.
Sure.
So, you know, we're just, it's gonna be that way.
Yes.
And, you know, in the private practice of it, you can really work and negotiate those
Sure.
down a whole lot
Yep.
better.
Yep.
That's my spiel on that package. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Tyler Munis.
Yes. So, there is no unfortunately.
That's good. That's good.
Finally.
I've got one but no unfortunately. We have successfully loaded 2025 property tax. It was an absolute slog. I was doing data transformation and manipulation that I figured Tyler actually should have been doing, but we were trying to speed it up rather than go through their technical services people. We're doing a complete review of the difficulties that we experienced this year because, as I told you, 2 months ago, they said, oh, this is going to be easy. This is how you do it. We started, it didn't happen that way. I mean, it was just, and so we're going to do a complete review of the problems that we had and refresh that process. There's probably actually going to be some development cost in there because it obviously was not developed well. We ended up doing a great deal of the work ourselves. The current struggle that we're dealing with, this is not an unfortunately, but it is current struggle we're dealing with, is 2024 delinquent taxes. The file format is very similar. The format that pops out of Tyler is nothing related to what it needs to be to load into this trustees, the Chancery Court system. And so, honestly, I got an email while I was sitting here about that. After some training and some research in our office and in our revenue department, we've decided to sunset the legacy business tax module and work directly with the state's e-file portal. For the taxpayer, they are accessing the e-file portal anyway. And our system is a one-way transfer to them. It doesn't update business information. It doesn't update all kinds of stuff. And most importantly, it doesn't create the flag where a business can print their own business license from the portal. So they actually have to come to us or we have to email it to them. If we transition to, they call it TR3, and you know it, but it's e-file.
Yep.
If we move to that system, it's actually going to be better for our taxpayers. We ended up, it'll improve options for business customers, including being able to print their own licenses and make certain business information as up to date across all government platforms. Because, for example, the county's using TR3. If we're using it, then we're sharing information. This will eliminate really the last legacy product that is interfacing with our general ledger. And it will eliminate that last chance for human error as we do that import and that conversion. And so I'm excited about that. We're going to try to get our revenue team up to date with using it. They know how to check some things, but they don't really know how to create new licenses and things in the system. Between now and November 1st, we're hoping to get them spun up and trained on that. And that's exciting. And I think once our supervisors realized what some of the taxpayers were missing out on, some of the opportunities they were missing out on, they thought, why hadn't we been doing this for years? I mean, it was, you know. With the FY24 audit done, our team is working on FY25 audit and is also working to fully bring fixed assets into Tyler. And it's going to be a big lift. The old fixed asset process was incredibly manual, and there's no direct way to import records from Legacy into Tyler. We're going to bring on one more accounting associate. I've still got one vacancy there, and one of the things that I would like for that person to do is become, in addition, we have a team member who focuses on fixed assets right now. I'd like this new person also to become an expert on that because, as you pointed out, it's important to know what we've got. I mean, you know, and so that's the fixed asset portion is the next big lift that we're going to do as far as software goes. And so Hopefully, we will be prepared for that, for the FY '25 audit, because that was a big deal this year in FY '24. But if we're not, we'll certainly be ready for FY '26. So, and that's what I've got, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any questions for Nathan?
If Dave was here, he'd ask a question about Tyler.
Where is this guy?
Are we out of place to ask a question about the library?
I guess questions you got, I mean, I don't know, this has been brand new, like,
I know, yeah.
it
It's
was
like-
presented as a want, and then we were in a staff meeting this morning, and they said, it's all over social media, so, well, okay. But they're not asking us for money, they haven't presented it to us, they were gonna present just the result of the findings at the November meeting, but then asked to delay that, so I don't know, where all the fuss came from on social media.
Anything else for the committee? Very informative. I think we did a lot today. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
We approve by leaving.
Thank you all.
Thank y'all.
Yes.